Explore the world beyond the screen. Stories untold, adventures unseen. Join the quest, come build a thrill. Welcome to Omni's Rare Guild.
All right, welcome back. I think we're on episode 3 now. Let's go ahead and settle in. Today isn't just a review. It's a forensic deep dive into a series that defined a generation, all right? So if you're listening to this, just like me, Naruto likely holds a specific space in your brain, for better or for worse, right? For some of us, it's a show that played in the background while you did your homework, right? For others, it was the time a piece of media actually made you cry, like just ball tears. But to understand Naruto Uzumaki, we have to understand the man who drew him into existence. Masashi Kishimoto. Don't know if I said that right. Correct me if I'm wrong, as always. Now, Kishimoto didn't just wake up and decide to write the world's most popular ninja story, right? He grew up in the Okayama prefecture, I think, and his childhood was far from the prodigy story you might expect. Kishimoto has been very open about the fact that he was a struggling artist. He faced rejection after rejection from the weekly Shonen Jump, and he was watching his peers succeed while he was drawing one shots that didn't do anything and they went nowhere. And those one shots is where the DNA of Naruto comes from. When you see a Naruto painting in the Hokage Rock in episode 1, Hokage Rock in episode 1, you aren't just seeing a prankster, right? You're seeing Kishimoto's own desire for his art to be seen by the world. And Naruto's obsession with being acknowledged that isn't just a character trait, it's the author's literal life mission at the time. Now, Kishimoto was also heavily influenced by things outside of the ninja world, right? Like we know that Naruto world is this built out world around ninja in his ninja way. But Kishimoto was a big fan of Godzilla and all these kaiju movies, right? And that's why the tail beasts aren't just monsters, they are forces of nature because he was obsessed with things like that. And they represent a power that is so massive, it's almost impersonal. He combined this with his love for Jackie Chan movies, I think it was. And if you look at the way Naruto or Rock Lee moves, you'll see that the physical comedy mixed with the high stakes martial arts. He wanted those fights to feel like that tactile Jackie Chan type stuff, right? Like a dance where the floor is part of the weapon. Now, that's just us jumping in straight into the cultural context and Kishimoto's origin, right? Like throughout this episode, I'm probably going to give spoilers. Naruto has been out for however long Naruto has been out for. So you may end up with spoilers. If you haven't watched it yet, watch it. I don't know what to tell you. We're going to start how it starts, right? In the beginning, first episode. And we have to spend time on the first episode because it's one of the most important setups in shonen history, right? We start with the attack of the nine-tailed fox. It's chaotic, it's dark, and it's terrifying. But then we jump forward to a kid with goggles and an orange jumpsuit. There's a specific shot that everyone remembers, the swing. Naruto is sitting on a wooden swing outside the academy, and everyone else is being congratulated by their parents. And there's a blue tint to the scene, right? The music, I think it was Sadness and Sorrow, starts to play. And let's talk about why that image works, right? Because in Japan, there's this concept of ibasho, right? I think it's ibasho, a place where you belong. And in this first episode, Naruto has no place where he belongs. He has no home where someone is waiting for him. He has no friends who want to play with him. He's a ghost in his own village. And the villagers don't just hate him, right? They're afraid of him. And that is a very important distinction. Hate is active. Fear is avoidant. So they treat him like a ticking time bomb. And this creates a psychological vacuum in Naruto. If the world won't give him love, he'll take their attention through causing trouble, right? He paints the faces of the Hokage because it's the only way to make the entire village look at him at once. Even if they're screaming at him, at least they aren't looking through him, right? At least they aren't avoiding him. At least they're seeing him. Now, that's how we start off. Like the world building of Naruto is where the show gets surprisingly dark for a kids show, right? The Hidden Leaf Village, Konoha, looks cozy. It has its ramen shops, forest, friendly neighbors, la 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 la. But at its core, the Hidden Leaf is a military industrial complex, right? The entire economy of this world is built on the shinobi system. People pay money to hire ninjas for mission. This is literally a world where war is the primary export. And who are the soldiers? Children, the children of the soldiers, right? 12-year-olds are given a headband and told, hey, you're getting in now. And they're immediately sent out on missions where they might have to kill somebody or die trying, right? Think about the tuning exams for a second. We look back on them as a cool tournament arc, but it was essentially a survival of the fittest meat grinder where kids were allowed to die in the forest of death just to show other nations how strong the Leafs military assets were. Military assets, children, right? It's a military farm, but these children, these babies are taken and say, hey, go to war, kill or be killed, good luck. And this brings us to our first major arc, the Land of Waves. And this is where Naruto does that shift from a fun adventure into a gritty mediation on what it means to be a tool for a country or a nation, right? The Land of Waves is wildly considered one of the best introductory arcs in all of anime. We meet Zabuza and Haku. Zabuza is the demon of the mist. He is what happens when the shinobi system works perfectly. He has no emotions. He has no hesitation. He views himself and everyone else as tools to be used and discarded. And then you have Haku, a boy with a Kekkei Genkai. I think it's like a bloodline limit or something like that, who was hunted and hated until Zabuza found him. Now, Haku's philosophy is heartbreaking. He tells Naruto at some point that a person becomes truly strong when they have something precious to protect, or something like that. I'm not sure if that's the exact line. But Haku's precious thing is this man who is literally just using him like a sword, using him like a tool. And this arc is the first time Naruto's talk no jutsu appears, right? Though it wasn't called that yet, when Haku dies, and Naruto yells at Zabuza for being cold-hearted, and just he isn't just complaining, right? He's not just upset and complaining about anything. He is literally challenging the entire foundation of their world, and he's saying, "Hey, I am not just gonna be a tool. You can't just make me be a tool." And this is a scene where Zabuza finally breaks down, and I think it was when I think he said something to Naruto like, your words cut deeper than any blade or something. I don't know, something like that. It's such an emotional peak for part one, right? It's the first time we see that even the most evil villains in this show are just victims in this large cycle of violence that the shinobi system has set up, right? And this particular arc sets the stage for every single villain that follows. We have Pain, Obito, even Madara. They're all just Narutos who went the wrong way. And so after this arc, we get trapped into the Chunin exams. And we have to talk, during the Chunin exams, we have to talk about one of the most famous fights in this series. At least for me, one of the most impactful fights during the Chunin exam. And that's, if you haven't guessed it, Rock Lee versus Gaara. Okay? Now, especially if you look at anime like Naruto, where we're talking about like overcoming and, doing your best and all that stuff, if we're talking about motivation and influences, Rock Lee is the ultimate personification of Kishimoto's struggle, right? Lee has zero talent. In a world of magic, he can only do physical exercises. He is in that realm, the underdog of the underdogs. And then the other hand of that, the underdog of the underdogs, you have Gaara. And Gaara is one of the darkest reflections of Naruto at that time. They both of them have the monsters inside them, right? Both were hated by their and feared by their villages. But while Naruto chose to fight for acknowledgement through pranks and kindness, Gaara is like, I'm gonna murder people for acknowledgement. I'm just gonna kill people and you're gonna acknowledge me that way. I'm gonna fight and kill. And that's how you're gonna acknowledge me. So he decided that the only way to prove he existed was to kill anyone who looked at him. And when Lee drops those leg weights, it wasn't just a cool animation moment. And we all remember that because that was crazy when them leg weights hit the ground. But it was a cultural event, right? It represented that idea that someone with zero talent could push a prodigy to the edge. But we're gonna have to address a popular, unpopular opinion. Neji. Did Neji have a point? Right? Neji's whole philosophy was that you were born with your destiny. And you're either a prodigy or a failure. And you can't change it. Now, Naruto beats Neji and tells him destiny is whatever you make it. But as fans, we gotta look at the end of the series, right? Naruto ends up being the son of a Hokage, a member of a legendary clan, and the reincarnation of a god. Now, a lot of critics argue that this is actually proof that Neji is correct. Naruto was destined for greatness all along. Like it is this big underdog story, but his destiny comes from all of these things that he just didn't know about at the time. So he was destined for greatness. So was Neji correct? Did he have a point? Now, I'd love to hear what you think about that, right? Like, does the reincarnation twist at the end of the series ruin the whole underdog message at the beginning? For me, I think Naruto's choices still really mattered, but the destiny stuff definitely muddies that water. What do you think? Leave comments, right? How do you feel about that? And if we're talking controversies, we got to talk about the filler elephant in the room. If you were watching Naruto weekly in the mid 2000s, you remember the pain. After the Sasuke retrieval arc, the anime went into a 2-year streak of filler episodes. 2 years. The reason? Pretty simple, right? The anime was catching up to the manga. Kishimoto couldn't draw fast enough, so the studio had to make things up. We got some truly bizarre stuff. We got the ninja ostrich. We got the curry of life. We got 80 plus episodes of Naruto going on random C rank missions with side characters who never show up again. Filler, for me, in my opinion, and I think many of you would agree, the filler ruined the pacing of the show. But we have to acknowledge that the filler made the world feel a little bigger, right? Because the main story moves so fast, we rarely got to see characters like Tenten, Shino, or Kiba actually doing anything. So the filler gave them that screen time, even if the stories were ridiculous, right? And made the Hidden Leaf feel like a village full of people rather than just a stage for Naruto and Sasuke, for better or for worse. Okay? Now, we've talked about the underdog spirit of the Chunin exams, but now we have to talk about the tragedy. Because while Naruto was finding his family, Sasuke Uchiha was losing his mind. And we have to understand Sasuke if we're talking Naruto, right? And to understand Sasuke, you have to understand the influence of the Uchiha. Kishimoto often said that the Uchiha clan represents the curse of hatred, but it's actually more psychological than that, I think. The Uchiha are a people who love more deeply than anyone else, but when that love is taken away, it turns into a black hole of rage. Sasuke is sitting in a hospital bed after the Forest of Death, and he's watching Naruto. He's watching this loser, this kid who couldn't even do a basic clone jutsu, mastering the Rasengan. He's watching Naruto get praised by legendary Sanin, and meanwhile, him, the genius, the last Uchiha, is stagnant and not growing. That's what he feels like. And this is where we get into one of the most, like, a major unpopular opinion. Was Sasuke actually a traitor, or was he another victim of the village's negligence? Right? Think about it. Kakashi is a great teacher, but he's a leaf teacher. He wants Sasuke to be a good soldier, but Sasuke isn't really interested in being a soldier. He's interested in justice for his murdered parents. When the Sound Four show up, Orochimaru's bodyguards, they offer something. They offer something to Sasuke that the Leaf Village could not offer him. That fast track to power that he wanted to be able to do that. And this leads us to the Sasuke retrieval arc, which many fans call the greatest arc in shonen history. That's some fan opinions, because the stakes were finally final. Up until now was about exams and missions, but now that arc led us into fight for the soul of a friend. Okay? This was around the time that Kishimoto shifted the tone. He wanted these fights to feel like a gauntlet of death. We start seeing characters like Choji and Neji, characters we thought were just sidekicks, literally pushing their bodies to the point of organ failure, right? Choji eating the red pill to grow wings, Neji getting a hole blown through his shoulder by was it Kidomaru? By Kidomaru's arrow? These weren't fun kiki fights. They were desperate. This arc removed that safety net that was happening before when we were looking at the Chunin exams, right? For the first time, we realized that these kids could actually die. It's a death. It's a fight to the death. And then we finally get to the final valley. Okay, this is the most iconic location in anime history, the final valley. We have two massive statues of the Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, the founders of the Leaf Village. And they're clashing over a waterfall. And it represents this eternal cycle that Naruto and Sasuke are now trapped in. So for them having their battle in the final valley, it like sets that scene. And Sasuke says here to Naruto that, I think he said something like, "You're my closest friend, and that's why I have to kill you." Because he truly believes at that point that killing his only bond, that he will be free to chase his revenge, right? And the fight, and of course, getting the power that the Uchihas can get by killing their closest friends. But the fight itself is a masterpiece of choreography. We see the curse mark level, was it level 2? The curse mark level 2 versus the one tail cloak, right? It's one of the first savage fights that occur in Naruto. It's primal. And then something that we would not necessarily have recognized at that time watching anime, watching the hero thrive. The hero of the show loses, right? Most Western stories at that time, like that early 2000s, the hero always wins, right? The hero always wins. But Kishimoto was like, nah, Sasuke wins, walk away. So he had Naruto wake up in the rain, staring at a scratched headband. This was basically an Empire Strikes Back moment for a whole generation of kids. It taught us that sometimes love isn't enough to save someone who doesn't want to be saved, right? And that's just what it is. And then, of course, it's anime. And it's a large story. And if you're not talking all the fillers, we're going to time skip. So, okay. Before we move into that time skip to Shippuden, we got to talk about the three legendary sages. I think that's the order we should do it in, okay? So these characters are the influences within the show itself. So Kishimoto based the Sanin on an old Japanese folktale called The Tale of Gallant Jiraiya. In the original story, Jiraiya is a ninja who can shapeshift into a giant toad, and his rival Orochimaru, who uses snake magic. Kishimoto took these mythological archetypes and gave them modern tragic backstories, as you will for these kinds of shows. So Jiraiya is the mentor archetype, but he's deeply flawed, right? He's a traveler who couldn't stop his friend Orochimaru from leaving, and he couldn't protect his student, the fourth Hokage, from dying. He views his own life as a series of failures, and that's probably why he takes Naruto under his wing, and for him it's a chance of redemption. He probably sees it at that chance at redemption and making up for those mistakes. And then you have Orochimaru on the other hand, who's the dark scientist, right? He represents that fear of death. Kishimoto, Kishimaru, Kishimoto has said that Orochimaru was born from the idea of what happens when a person becomes obsessed with knowing everything. He's the ultimate egoist, right? And then there's my girl Tsunade. Tsunade is the heart of that trio, right? She represents the grief of the village. She lost her brother and her lover to this system of war. Her struggling with gambling and alcohol wasn't just funny anime tropes, right? It was a depiction of PTSD. Like we got it in this kiki haha way that children digest things, but her gambling and her alcohol was her dealing with her PTSD from these losses. And when she finally accepts that role of Hokage, it signifies that the village itself is finally ready to stop looking at the past and start looking at the future. And these three adults, these legendary Sanin, represent the cycle that Naruto and Sasuke are about to inherit. Jiraiya failed to save Orochimaru. Now the question is, will Naruto fail to save Sasuke? Okay? All right. So we have that set. We're gonna hop, skip, and jump. Time skip. Now we jumped out of that. Now we're in Shippuden. The world of Shippuden literally means Hurricane Chronicles, right? Hurricane. Why can't I speak? Hurricane Chronicles. And this is significant. Naruto is a whirlpool Uzumaki. Whirlpool Uzumaki. And he's about to become a storm that changes the world. So when Naruto returns to the village, everything is different, right? The animation is sharper, the music is more orchestral and heavy. The orange jumpsuit has changed to black and orange, right? It's a visual representation of his growth and his change. He's taller, but he's the same kid who loves ramen. However, the world itself has become more dangerous and he's become more capable and competent. And they drop the Akatsuki in our laps. The Akatsuki, to this day, is one of the most notable villain groups out there, right? It's the ultimate villain group. And we have to talk about the Akatsuki. Kishimoto's design for the Akatsuki is iconic. The black cloaks with red clouds, I think I have mine somewhere. The red clouds represent the rain of blood that fell on the hidden village during the wars. So, though they are the villain group, right? They aren't just evil ninjas. They're a collection of broken sages. And every member of the Akatsuki represents a reason why people go to war. Let's look at it. Like let's really deep it. Let's really take a deep look at it, okay? Hidan represents religion, fanaticism. Kakuzu represents greed, money. Pain represents peace through trauma. Itachi, we gonna leave. Let's chill on Itachi. We'll get to Itachi. Popular opinion: the Akatsuki is the best villain organization in anime. I agree. Unpopular opinion: the Akatsuki members were killed off too quickly. A lot of fans tend to argue that characters like Sasori or Deidara had so much depth that they should have lasted a little longer, right? Sasori's backstory, a boy who made puppet versions of his dead parents just to feel a hug, is one of the darkest things Kishimoto ever wrote. And it shows that the villains are just children who never got the Naruto treatment, right? They never had an Akura sensei to tell them that they mattered at the time, so they went in a different direction. Now, Itachi. Let's talk about Itachi. For the first 400 episodes or so, Itachi is the boogeyman, right? He's the brother who killed his family. He is the reason Sasuke is broken. He is the villain. But then we get the truth. Kishimoto said that he didn't have Itachi's heroic twist plan from the very first chapter, but he knew Itachi had a secret. The reveal that Itachi slaughtered his clans on orders from the Leaf Village to prevent a civil war is one of the biggest red pill moments in the series, and it changes the trajectory of the entire show. Suddenly, the hidden Leaf Village isn't just the good guy village. They become this nightmare political entity that ordered a teenage boy to commit genocide for the sake of stability. Get that? Understand that? A teenage boy to commit genocide for the sake of stability. The moral gray area, this is where Naruto moves from shonen to seinen, right? Adult themes. It asks the viewer, is one life worth more than 1,000? Is Itachi a hero for saving the village or a monster for killing his mother and father? And everyone else, of course. In terms of the village, Itachi is the ultimate shinobi, right? He lived in the shadows, died hated by the person he loved most, and took secrets to his grave, all to protect a village that would never thank him. He is the dark mirror of the Hokage. And while the Hokage is the leader everyone sees, Itachi is the leader who took that darkness and carried that darkness so that everyone else would be living in the light, none the wiser to the level of dark, again, for lack of a better word, for the level of darkness within the village. Some might say, some could say that Itachi is a terrible brother. It's an unpopular opinion, right? He tortured Sasuke with genjutsu. He made Sasuke relive the death of their parents 500,000 times in a second. He pushed Sasuke to seek out Orochimaru. And, you can argue that even if Itachi had good intentions, his methods were crazy. They were abusive and caused more damage than if he had just been honest with the boy. And, it's always going to be an argument of Itachi's morality. That's just what it is and how it was written. So we get through all of that, blah, 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 blah. And now we jump into the philosophical peak of Naruto, the pain arc. This is what I believe to be the centerpiece of the entire franchise. Pain. Nagato. He gets to the Leaf Village and does the craziest thing. He literally just deletes it, wipes it from the map. Gone. Bye-bye, birdie. Leaf Village is gone. In one move, almighty push, the village that we've spent however hundreds of many of episodes, gone. It's a crater. The fight between Naruto and Pain isn't just a fight, it's a debate. Pain asks Naruto, how will you bring peace? Right? How will you bring peace? My village was destroyed by yours, your village was destroyed by mine. It's a cycle. If you kill me, my friends will kill you. When does it end? Deep, right? When does it end? This motivation of peace through pain is Pain's philosophy that humans are too stupid to stop fighting unless they're terrified. He wants to create a nuclear weapon, right? That tail beast bomb, so that everyone is too scared to go to war. It's peace through mutually assured destruction. And Naruto Naruto doesn't have a good answer, right? And this is the most honest writing in the show. Naruto literally says, "Look, I don't know how to fix it, but I want to trust that a solution exists. It's out there. I just don't know how to fix it yet. And I'm gonna start now by not killing you. I'm breaking the cycle. You say they kill you, I kill me, everybody kills everybody. I'm gonna start. I'm not gonna kill you. I know you just destroyed my village, but I'm not gonna kill you. Let's see if we can break that cycle." And there's a lot of Buddhist imagery here, right? During this arc, the six paths of pain, the idea of transcending suffering, Naruto in his sage mode, it represents a state of being in harmony with nature. And while pain represents a state of being consumed by the suffering of the world. When Naruto convinces Nagato, I can't say, why am I saying it like that? Nagato, because I'm trying to keep my accent. When Naruto convinces Nagato to believe in him, it's the ultimate victory of the orange jumpsuit kid, right? Of this boy that nobody looked at. He didn't win because he was stronger. He won because he was willing to listen to that person who hurt him. And it's a recurring theme that we've seen with Naruto, right? Like when he fought with Gaara and many other instances, like he's willing to listen to his enemy and empathize with his enemy. So we covered loneliness of the start, right? Wait, we covered the loneliness, the tragedy of the Uchiha, the darkness of the Akatsuki, and the philosophy of pain. Naruto is a story about a boy who was given a monster and told he was nothing. But through shared guts, he turned that monster into a partner and the nothingness into a legacy. Now, some people say that the Great Ninja War, as we head into our wrap up, we're gonna, I think we're gonna start wrapping up. Um, but I do want to talk about some people saying that I've had conversations around the Great Ninja War was too long. The war lasted for hundreds of episodes, right? The power scaling went from ninjas with knives to aliens throwing moons. And many fans feel that the show lost its way at the very end. I'm not one of those fans, but I have to acknowledge that, that was some of the conversations I've had and the arguments I've had. And for me, even with the Kayuga twist and the god tier powers, it still came back to Naruto and Sasuke at the end, right? I mean, we never will we all agree on the same thing. But all in all, Naruto matters because it's a story about effort. It's a story that says your past doesn't define your future. Whether you're a genius like Sasuke or a failure like Naruto, you have the power to choose that path. Now, actually, before I wrap up, before I wrap up, I would be remiss in my duties if we didn't talk about the soundscape of Konoha. Now, we talked about blood, tears, and philosophy, but when you close your eyes and think of Naruto, you don't just see the orange jumpsuit, you hear it, right? You hear the haunting shakuchi flute, you hear the heavy electric guitar riff. The music of Naruto is arguably the most successful character in the entire show. In part one, the composer was Toshio Masuda. His job was to create the sound of a modern ninja world, and he did something revolutionary at the time, right? He blended traditional Japanese instruments like the shamisen and the flute with 1970s hard rock and electronic beats. Like think about that track, the Rising Fighting Spirit, that drum beat, that flute that sounds like a scream. That track alone defined a decade of anime music videos on early YouTube, right? It's that sound of adrenaline. And on the flip side of that, you have sadness and sorrow. Now, I have no copyright, so I'm not going to play it for you. So definitely look it up if you need to hear it to remember what it is. But let's stay there for a moment. Sadness and sorrow is more than just a song. It is that emotional anchor of the series. Masuda used a piano and a violin to take away all the ninja bravado and expose this raw, bleeding heart just a lonely kid, of a lonely little boy. And every time you heard that song, you knew, stop looking at the jutsu, look at the person. Right? When we moved to Shippuden, the button was past the baton. The song changed to another song. The composing changed from Masuda to Yashura Takanashi, and it became more orchestral, more epic. He introduced that heavy choir chants that made the Akatsuki feel like a religious threat. Tracks like Sign or Pain's theme song, they aren't just background noise, right? They are motifs of the entire series. When Pain's theme starts, that low, haunting chanting, the hair on the arms stand up. Like, you know what's coming. You know that a god is descending into this crater, right? The openings are, there's I feel like there's a massive community of fans who might not even watch the show anymore, but they have the top 20 Naruto openings on their Spotify Wrapped every year, right? From Go by Flow to Silhouette by Kanabun, don't forget Bluebird. Like, these songs become the anthems of a generation. Silhouette is iconic. Even this might have been a filler episode, but the Tail Beast song, right? All of these things, not just the intro song and the outro songs, all of these beats in the middle, the theme songs for different characters, they're iconic, right? Even as our memories of the story fades, or we start forgetting exactly what happened in the series, the moment we hear the music, we're like, oh yeah, and it brings back that feels for us, right? Let's zoom out a second. Before we wrap up, let's just talk a little bit about how a story about a boy eating ramen in a fictional village became a global phenomenon that rivaled Star Wars and the Avengers. I say it did. I say it did. The Naruto run is a meme now, but think about the cultural footprint of the Naruto run. Arms back, head forward. It's been done by professional athletes in the NFL. It's been the subject of Area 51 raids, and it's been parodied in every corner of the internet. Why this? Why this? Why that specific thing? Why did that stick? Now, Kishimoto has admitted that the reason that they ran like that in the anime was actually for budget reason. Funnily enough, it's much easier and cheaper to animate a character with static arms than it is to animate the natural swing of limbs. But that technical shortcut they took to save money, it became the symbol of the anime fan. You see that anime run everywhere. Now, Naruto was one of the first animes to truly capitalize on that global village of the internet. In the early 2000s, fan subs and forums allowed people in Brazil, France, US, Middle East to discuss the latest chapters at any time. In France, Naruto is a cultural titan. It's the second largest market for manga outside of Japan. In many African American communities, Naruto has a massive following because the themes of being an outcast and fighting for a seat at the table resonate deeply with the struggle for that systematic recognition. And you see rappers like Meg Thee Stallion or Lupe Fiasco referencing Naruto in their lyrics. It ain't just cartoon stuff. It's a shared vocabulary for people who feel like underdogs. The Talk no Jutsu legacy, Naruto's greatest impact on storytelling, right? Before Naruto, shonen battles usually ended with the bad guy exploding or being sent to space. That's it. Naruto introduced the idea that you can win by listening. And in a world that increasingly polarized and filled with conflict, the idea of a hero whose ultimate weapon is empathy it's a radical concept. Now, Naruto doesn't just kill his enemies, he tries to rehabilitate them. He acknowledges their pain. And this had influenced a whole new wave of anime like Demon Slayer or JJK, where the protagonist actually feels bad for the monsters they have to slay because they're listening, they're empathizing, right? Okay, I've been talking a lot. I did because Naruto is one of my favorites. And so it might make sense. It might have been babbles. I don't know. This is just, anime stuff. Just want to talk to y'all. Let's, as I wrap up, let's think about that swing one more time. Right? We started with a boy who had nothing. No parents, no friends, no talent, and a monster in his gut. We ended with a man who became the seventh Hokage, not because he was the strongest, but because he was the person who refused to let go of anyone else, right? Naruto isn't a perfect story. The fillers are long, the ending is messy, the aliens are a bit weird. But the heart of the show is indestructible and indisputable. It's a story about the guts to never give up, right? The need to move on and keep going and keep pushing. And if you've been listening to me for the last 40 minutes or so, maybe it's because you felt like Naruto at some point. Maybe you felt ignored. Maybe you felt like you were destined to fail. And if the show taught us anything, is that your starting point doesn't matter. Yoibasho, your place in the world isn't something you find. It's something you build by being kind to others and being honest with yourself. Okay. A lot of talking. This has been the Naruto special of the Anime Expedition. Special because it's special to me. It's episode 3. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. I hope this deep dive gave you a new perspective on the orange-clad ninja from the Hidden Leaf. If not, I hope it gave you a will to watch it. If not, rewatch it, right? If you enjoyed this, please follow the podcast on YouTube, Spotify. Follow me on TikTok at SparkyP. Share it with a friend who still hasn't finished Shippuden, and let us know what world should we explore next. If you have any ideas for where you want us to watch and talk about, you can leave it down in the comments. This is your guide for discovering anime. Some old ones, but I'll some new ones as well. This world is big, but our bonds are bigger. Until next time, stay curious, believe it, and I'll see you on the next expedition.